Denise, Denise, it's Denise, it's Denise, it's Denise, Denise, it's a podcast party, it's a podcast party, it's a podcast party.
I gotta say, I feel like we're besties now after this. What's up, guys? It's Denise Salcedo. Hey there, everyone. What is up? Welcome to Speak Now Pro Wrestling. I'm your host, Denise Salcedo, and what a night we had today. It is the February 2nd edition of AEW Dynamite, which featured a lot of newsworthy items. We had CM Punk take his official first loss in AEW. We had Brian Kendrick being pulled off of the show. And then we also had a sort of very interesting segment with Dan Lambert and Brandi Rhodes. We have so much to go over here today. But before we get started with everything, I want to welcome each and every single person onto the show. I really appreciate you guys for coming in and checking out what I've got to say here about AEW Dynamite. We are going to have a good time. Before we get started, if you are a new person, if you're new to the show, just a friendly heads up, this is a very interactive show. I will be reading people's thoughts and opinions as we go throughout the entire show. However, if you're like, I really need Denise to read this, I need her to hear this, I need everyone to hear this, you are more than welcome at any point throughout the show to send in a super chat. If you do send in a super chat, your question, your comment, your statement, whatever it is, gets read on the air. Additionally, F4W Online allows me to keep 100% of all proceeds from all super chats, so I get paid. But anyways, let's go ahead and get right into the show, everybody. I'm so excited to hear your thoughts. But this was kind of a crazy show in the sense that, like, leading up to the show, we had this, controversy surrounding Brian Kendrick. We kicked off the show with the Jon Moxley match, and then throughout the show, it was pretty entertaining, and then we closed off in this big way. But let's get into this, everybody, and I want to get your thoughts on what essentially went down here today. But let's start off with Jon Moxley and Wheeler Yuta. So before we get to the actual match itself, we have to talk about the big old elephant in this room, and that is the controversy of the Brian Kendrick. So literally just yesterday on my NXT post show, we're sitting here and we're talking about the fact that Brian Kendrick, officially got his release by WWE. It was reported by Fightful. And then literally like a couple of hours, or I don't even know how long after the report came out from Fightful, we then find out that that Brian Kendrick is going to be making his AEW debut and that he's going to be wrestling Jon Moxley on the card. And everybody's like, all right, cool. Like, this is exciting. Obviously not everybody, but a lot of people were very excited to see Brian Kendrick, Jon Moxley, and we're, all up talking about this, right? This was a topic of conversation. And then today, at some point today, there was a controversy surrounding Brian Kendrick in terms of, I'm going to actually read this directly from the Wrestling Observer site because I don't want to say anything, but some stuff came out about Brian Kendrick, or that were put out there, and this got him removed from the match. So this is directly from the Wrestling Observer website, and this is what it says, quote, in a High Spots video released in 2013, titled Brian Kendrick Presents the Kendrick Theory, Kendrick questioned the severity of the Holocaust. He stated that Nazi gas chambers were delousing rather than mass murder, and that Sandy Hook's school shooting was a hoax. Okay. And so essentially, like, this is bad, guys. Like, this is bad. These are very sensitive topics that are just like, you don't go out there and say like, hey, the Holocaust wasn't real. Sandy Hook wasn't real. And I know there's like, conspiracy theorist and all of that. But so this resurfaced content essentially came up today. And what else we got? This is also directly from the F4W site. It says, quote, in an earlier video, Brian Kendrick appeared to suggest that Jewish people were reptilian and part of a global conspiracy. So obviously this all came out today. I did legitimately, so here's the thing. So I legitimately did not know about this in regards to Brian Kendrick. However, there were people that like already knew about this. Like this was something that, you know, people knew of. I legitimately, when I saw this, I was like, what the heck is going on? Like I had to go and find out like, hey, what was said in this, you know, what were said in these videos. And then when like I found out the topics that were being touched, I was like, what the heck? Whatever, right? So then afterwards, we get a comment from Tony Khan. Basically, I think this was like, like an hour, 2 hours before the show, somewhere around that time frame. He says, quote, on a tweet, he says, we've been made aware of the aberrant and offensive comments made in the past by Brian Kendrick. There is no room in AEW for the views expressed by Brian. We think it's best for all that Brian be pulled from tonight's card as we gather more information. We'll announce a replacement ASAP. And it was later on announced that it would be Wheeler Yuta. So that is kind of like the controversy heading into this match. And it's kind of crazy, like to think about like what we were literally talking about yesterday with Brian Kendrick and what we're talking about today. Like, I don't recall anybody having like a crazy last 24 hours than Brian Kendrick, which is just absolutely nuts. But I do think that given this information that was put out there today, I do think that Tony Khan made the right call by essentially not having him on the show. So personally, I agree with that. I agree with the fact that he was taken out of this show. I also don't necessarily think, like, for example, like legitimately, and I'll just be completely like honest here, like I was always like, I liked Brian Kendrick. I was a fan of Brian Kendrick, but not enough so where like, let's say I wasn't covering AEW Dynamite and let's say this wasn't my job and let's say I was a casual, you know, wrestling fan and I just tuned in every now and then, you know, depending on what was announced, right? If I wasn't planning on tuning in to today's show and then the announcement of Brian Kendrick coming out on today's show was made, it wouldn't necessarily make me come in to tune in to the show. So for me, like, that's kind of like the way that I see it. I mean, obviously, regardless, we're in a different world and, you know, I do this for a living. So, no, I do have to tune into every show, but that's just kind of something that I was thinking about, you know, heading into this actual match. But anyways, let's go ahead and if you guys have any thoughts on that, feel free to send in a super chat. I will get through some of those, but let's get into this match with Jon Moxley and Wheeler Yuta. So we actually saw this match back in October, and this was way better than their match that they had in October because that match was really just like a squash, which I was a little bit surprised that they had Jon Moxley back in October really quickly squash Wheeler Yuta. So the fact that we kind of got like not like a redo of this match, but we got more of an actual match this time around. And obviously, this was a last-minute decision, but I think given the match that we got to open the show, I was a fan of this, man. This was so much better than their first match that they did. We got a lot of really, we got a lot of offense from Wheeler Yuta. I thought that it made him look so much better because I remember after that last match and the way that he lost, I was just like, man, they made Wheeler Yuta look like a jobber. But obviously, you know, last time, you know, losing to Jon Moxley is no big, you know, if you're going to lose to anybody, it might as well be Jon Moxley, right? But I just think given that I expected them during that time to do something different with Wheeler Yuta, I wasn't necessarily expecting the match that we got last time. So personally, I was so much happier with the match that we got here today. I thought that Wheeler Yuta looked great. He looked, you know, credible in this match. It was entertaining. And let me go ahead and point out some of the things that I actually enjoyed from this match, or that I even put up here. So let's kind of talk about there was a really nice moment where he went for a nice diving splash. This was from Wheeler Yuta. He goes for the pin. It ends up being a near fall. And for the win, we get Jon Moxley winning with the paradigm shift. So it was a good stuff all around for the actual match itself. Let's get some thoughts in here, everybody. And then I'm going to go ahead and talk about the post-match stuff, because this stuff between Daniel Bryan and Jon Moxley was very entertaining. And we got people here that are obviously, we got some people here that are, we're talking about the Brian Kendrick stuff. Not everyone is going to agree, everybody. Not everyone is going to agree on that subject. It's a icky one. But anyways, let's get what we got here. Let's see what we got. In regards to the match itself, this is a comment from Haj Gulashi, who says, the match was great, especially knowing how last minute it was. Wrestle War is putting over Yuta for doing a good job. And let's see what else we got here. And here's the thing too, like, somebody brings up the fact that, this is a huge roster on AEW. And so this is a comment that we got. This one's from Dark Chaos 2020, who says that Wheeler Yuta as a replacement for what we were supposed to get was a lame replacement. So I didn't think that he was a lame replacement, but it wasn't a replacement where I was like, oh man, I'm looking forward to this. And the reason for that was really because, again, I already mentioned that we saw the match back in October. And because of the way that match was treated, I wasn't really looking forward when they made the announcement of Wheeler Yuta. So I was kind of like, okay, been there, seen it, done that. But after the outcome of the actual match and how everything went down, I personally felt that it was like a good choice and an overall like good little match to kick off the show. So I really did not have a problem with it afterwards. And yes, the Cage 97 points out that Mox was cursed by Danhausen. I love that. Really funny stuff there. And let's see what we got here. Let's go ahead and continue on. Let's talk about what went down post-match. And this was Daniel Bryan and Jon Moxley. This was hot, guys. This was good stuff. Like Bryan Danielson, when he goes out and he's like on the mic, it's like no matter what he does, it's legitimately good stuff, right? And I think that every time, like, he's the person who understands the assignment. Like, he knows what he's supposed to go out there and do, and he does it. And during this, I mean, like, I was expecting, because you get Jon Moxley, you get Bryan Danielson, and they're literally, staring each other like, they're right across the ring and they're staring at each other. And I'm thinking, oh my God, like, please fight. Let's go. Fight the hell out of each other. This is going to be so good. And then when in the moment kind of passed and I'm thinking, oh man, is this not going to go the direction that I thought it was going to go into? And so Bryan Danielson ends up taking the mic and basically telling Jon Moxley that, he's been wanting to fight him for a while, that we're seeing this like new version of Jon Moxley. And then he like kind of puts him over by saying like, you were the best AEW world champion. And then he goes on to literally bury like all the champions on the AEW roster. I kid you not. Bryan Danielson is like, there is no reason why some millennial cowboy should be AEW world champion. And I'm thinking like, oh man, like that's a brutal, like personally, I thought it was a brutal shot at Hangman Page, clearly. Then he goes on to say, someone dressed as a dinosaur shouldn't be tag team champion. And I'm thinking, oh no, now he buried Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy by association. And then he buries Sammy Guevara as TNT champion, basically saying that somebody whose only contribution to the world is putting out a vlog should not be champion. And I'm just thinking to myself, damn, Bryan Danielson just stayed up like freaking like burying all the champions. And like, if it was anybody else, I think I would have been like, oh, damn, that really sucks. Like, that really sucks to say because you don't want to make your champions look bad. But I think because it's Bryan Danielson and obviously he's doing like the best heel work and he was doing this to put over Jon Moxley and put over the kind of competitor that he is. I was like, all right, I'm going to let it slide. And from this, he ends up basically telling Jon Moxley, like, hey, he starts bringing up all of these young guys, and he basically says, like, we can take them under our wing. We could run this place. And he's basically trying to convince Jon Moxley to sort of team up with him and like have them do their own thing there. He even tells the people start like reacting to this. The fans, they're getting behind it, and Bryan Danielson even says, quote, if they don't like me, they still like what I'm talking about right now. And this whole entire time, Jon Moxley kind of has the face where he's really kind of thinking about it. Like he's considering this proposal from Bryan Danielson. So here's my question to everybody here in the chat is, do you think that we should get Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson kind of teaming up together and doing like, working tag team matches? Do you want to see them create some sort of stable? Where is the direction that we're going with this? Do we want to jump right into Jon Moxley versus Bryan Danielson? Or do we want to maybe let them do something and let it breathe out and then get the match between Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson? Because heading into this, I wanted it right away, Jon Moxley, Bryan Danielson. But now that we got this like idea and this concept of them probably doing something together, I'm sold on it. Bryan Danielson did a phenomenal job at selling me on it. But let's see what we got here, guys. This is a super chat. Thank you so much to Keel Robinson TV for getting us started here with our super chats. FYI, if you do send them in, your comment gets read 100% guaranteed, and all proceeds go to moi. Keel Robinson TV says, this show is about proving all the bad guys right. We'll talk about bad guys. We will, especially in a particular segment where, quite frankly, we were full of bad guys. But thank you so much to Keel Robinson TV for getting in this super chat. I really appreciate it. All right, let's see what we got people here saying. And let's see. This is a comment from Ed Pumps who says, I would love to see it. Out of every scenario we have talked about with Mox and Danielson, then teaming never was one of them, and I am here for it. That's true. I did not really see this coming. We got a comment from Ray Mungus who says, I have a feeling we'll see Moxley humor Danielson like he did with the Inner Circle, but ultimately take him out of his setting, out of setting up the pay-per-view. See, that's something that I kind of got the vibe up too, because if you're looking at Jon Moxley's face during this, he's kind of like not buying, like you got to read his expression. Like he's not buying his shit that Bryan Danielson is saying, but he also kind of looks like he's considering it. So it's kind of a toss up there where I could see like what you're sensing, Ray. I sensed it too, is where I'm trying to get at. So we will see. We got a couple of super chats. This one is from Sheldon Jackson. Thank you so much to Sheldon, who says, as long as Mox and Kingston Tate stay together, I'm with the faction of Danielson, Mox, and Kingston. See, that could be cool. Again, not something that I considered, but I don't know what it, guys, like, I don't know how I feel though. Like, I want Bryan Danielson to kind of be a lone wolf though. But then again, like, I feel this would be really cool to see. I'm a little bit torn on this one, everybody. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little bit torn. I really don't know where to go with here because I do like lone wolf, Bryan Danielson, angry, bearing everybody, Bryan Danielson, and kicking everyone's heads in. We got a super chat from Cameron Mumford. Thank you so much to Cameron, who says, I know eventually Mox and Danielson will face each other, but I really like what Danielson was saying. It really made you think if this was an angle, a shoot, or both. Definitely an angle. Like, I didn't really feel like this was a shoot by any means. Well, I get it, though, by when he said, like, I think the line where he buried the talent, that one kind of made it feel like a shoot, but I don't think it was. Like, he's not, I don't think he's the kind of person to like straight up just bury all of those guys for like no reason. So I don't think so. I really do think this is just like, hey, you want to team up Moxley? Like, you want to team up with me, Moxley? Like, yes or no? And here's why you should. But thank you so much to Cameron for also sending in this super chat. Thank you so much to Roberto Arsenal, who also sends in a super chat saying, I'm all in on a group of Danielson and Moxley helping out Daniel Garcia, Lee Moriarty, and Wheeler Yuta. This is the perfect way to bring up young talent. And obviously something that Bryan touched on during this promo. Thank you so much to Roberto for also sending in this super chat. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this next segment, everybody. This is going to be hot stuff, everyone. Hot stuff. And by hot stuff, I mean it's going to be sizzling in the chat, everybody. This was all right, I'm just going to be completely honest, everyone. Please do not cancel me. Please do not be mean to me. I can't take it. But damn, this sucked real bad. All right, this sucked royal bananas. Bollocks. I don't even say the word bollocks. I don't even know what bollocks means. But damn, this was not good. This was the Brandi Rhodes, Dan Lambert segment. I should have probably stated that first before I went off on a tangent here. All right, so let me kick things off by saying I'm a fan of Dan Lambert. You guys know that. I've liked the who he is. It works because I understand the character. He's essentially everything that he has every quality that you can hate in a person. Okay, he has them all. We get it. We get what Dan Lambert is. I also like Brandi Rhodes. However, I do not like a lot of the stuff that she essentially does on the show. I think that, unfortunately, like I hate to say it, but with the fans, she has major go away heat. Like she really does. I like Brandi, but at the end of the day, like the fans are just not having it. And if you don't believe me, go back and watch this segment because people were hating this, okay? They were hating this. I literally asked everybody a question on Twitter how they felt about it, and I got, like, the last time I checked, over 240 comments, and I was scrolling through those and reading what people were saying, and I would say that a good majority of the people pretty much felt the exact same way. But let's break it down and let's actually discuss what happened during this segment. All right, so we got Brandi Rhodes coming out, and she basically throws a shot at Chicago. She calls it Cleveland. She gets booed. Okay, cool. And then Dan Lambert comes out. He comes out with his guys, Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky. And I'm thinking, no. I'm legitimately thinking, no. We've seen this. We saw this last time. And while last time I thought like there were some shades of things that I did like, but the majority, like, I liked maybe 2% of what they did last time, and like 98% I was not a fan of. So I'm thinking like, I thought we were done with that. Like I had forgotten that was centuries ago to me. But then he comes out and I'm thinking this is not over. We're going back to this. So what we got here is Dan Lambert basically saying to Brandi, like, you need a reality check. Okay. He calls her Brandi from the block, says that her accent is fake. And he referred to her boobs as fake bulldogs. And I'm thinking, yuck. This is a man that you boo, right? Like he is the heel. It is very well established that he is a heel. But so is Brandi Rhodes. And this was my major issue last time where I was like, who am I supposed to cheer for? Like as a viewer, as an audience member, I feel severely left out. And Dan Lambert isn't even like a cool heel where you're like, oh, I want to cheer for the cool heel. And neither is Brandi. And I'm like, who the hell am I? Like, what am I watching right now? Who am I supposed to root for? Where am I? Like, what am I supposed to do? As the viewer, what am I supposed to do other than just boo and make a sour face? So then Dan Lambert basically says that he is a sexist, that he is conservative, that he is an AEW hater, and that he is still a better person than Brandi Rhodes. From this, then on, Brandi says they only hired him to get closer to Josh Alexander. And then they go back and forth a little bit more, and the crowd is literally chanting STFU really loudly over and over. And you could argue that this was to both of them, but based on like where we were at in that point of this like promo, I think these were definitely directed at Brandi. So she was getting like major heat during this. So again, no babyface here. And then Brandi slaps Dan Lambert, and then Dan Lambert says that he knows that he He knows that he's not the only person in the building who wants to essentially slap Brandi Rhodes. From here on, we then get Paige Van Zandt. She comes out and, she runs in and she ends up going right for Brandi Rhodes and goes right in on the attack. She barely gets her hands on Brandi, and the entire AEW women's roster comes out running to separate both women. So I'm just going to say, quite frankly, this is not for me. I am not interested in seeing more of this Brandi Dan Lambert stuff. It's just kind of like, I don't know who this is for. I saw a couple of people that were like, oh, I like this. I was like, all right, cool. Who am I to judge, right? But this is not for me. And here's my whole pickle with this, all right? We have AEW Women's World Champion Britt Baker. What is she doing? What do you have her doing on the show? Why can't we get a program? If you're going to have Paige Van Zandt be part of this show, cool. I'm all right with that. Fine, whatever. She's a name. Okay, cool. Why not have her do something with the AEW Women's Champion, Britt Baker, who they literally have not doing much right now? Why don't they put her in a program with Britt Baker? I mean, I'm not expecting Paige to beat Britt Baker by any means or anything like that, but damn, give her something. She's the AEW Women's World Champion. This to me just feels like more content for Rhodes to the top, and that's exactly what this feels like. And so for me, I'm like, nah, I feel like we can definitely do something else. And again, if you're gonna have Paige Van Zandt incorporated into this for a one-off, for a quick little thing, why can it be with the champion, with Britt Baker? Give her something. Anyways, so those are my thoughts on that. How do you, the people, feel? Are you, did you have a good time? Did you not have a good time? Go ahead and let me know. How do you feel about the possibility that we are going to probably be seeing Paige Van Zandt and Brandi Rhodes? Send in the comments. Here we go. Let's get some comments. And this one is from Zeke Jackson, who says, Britt ain't getting touched till Thunder Rosa. She's got to do something, though. They don't have her do much. They need to have her do more. I feel like there's a lot of times where, she's as the champion, she should be featured a lot more on the shows. And so for me, I think that they could do a lot more with Britt as champion and, continue building her reign until they finally decide to do Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa, and whether or not they choose to give the title to Thunder Rosa or if they stay on with Britt Baker. The point is, give Britt Baker more to do. She is your champion. Give her a big storyline. So that's how I feel about this, because I'm not head over heels over the Brandi Rhodes, Dan Lambert, Paige Van Zandt situation. At least I think I would get a little bit more. I would be more interested, again, if maybe they did something like this with Bray or something. I don't know. Zeke Jackson, thank you so much for the super chat. Let's see what else we got here. This is another super chat from Brandon Rosen, who says, say what you will about Dan Lambert, but the fans were cheering him tonight. The fans may dislike Lambert, but they despise Brandi Rhodes more. Yeah, and think about it. That's not the point of the story, though. We're not supposed to be cheering Dan Lambert. We're not supposed to be cheering Dan Lambert, though. He said it himself. He's a sexist, conservative AEW hater. That's what he said. So technically, we're not supposed to be cheering for him. All right. Thank you so much to Brandon Rosen for sending in that super chat there. Let's go ahead and continue on and see what we got here. More thoughts. This one is from Sheldon, who says, I honestly feel like the segment was because Brandi's an executive, nothing else. It did nothing for all involved, but I did like the Josh Alexander line. Yep. That's probably, that was all right. Okay. Once again, guys, if you want to get your question, comment, or statement read on the air, feel free to send in a super chat. F4W Online does allow me to keep 100% of the proceeds, so they help me out. And also get your voice heard on the stream. And let's go ahead and see. We got another comment. This one is from Kareem Hassan, who says, I will always judge a segment's success or lack thereof by crowd reaction. They were hot for this. Let them fight. Good perspective. You know what? I'll take that. I will take that. I will take that perspective. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and move on from this, everybody. So, anyways, if you watch the show on the replay, let us know what you think. How do you feel about this whole Brandi Rhodes, Paige Van Zandt, Dan Lambert nonsense? Alrighty, let's get into one of my favorite, like newly favorite little backstage segments that we've been getting, and this is with Andrade el Idolo. He's so freaking funny. Jesus Christ. Every single week I come out here and I say the exact same thing. He's funny as hell. He's funny when he says stink. He's funny when he makes fun of Darby for being Stink's kid. This is pretty much what we got here again. Matt Hardy essentially announces, like, he's pissed off at, the HFO and all of that. But he basically announces that Isaiah is going to be wrestling Sammy for the TNT title. There's a little bit of like some rift between them, a little bit of drama there. Andrade comes in and he's like, what's going on? And Matt asks Andrade, like, what's the status? Like, why isn't Darby with you? What's the status of Darby? And Andrade's like, I haven't been able to talk to his dad, but I'm assuming it's more of like he wants más dinero, which means more money. And basically says he hasn't spoken to his dad, Stink. He didn't say Stink today, though, which bummed me out because I look forward to it every week. Really do. All right, let's go ahead and continue on from here. Let's get into this match that the crowd was absolutely hot for. And I know people are not going to agree with me, but I did not, never mind. Let me continue on. All right. I wasn't crazy about the end result, or I'll just say it right now. I was not crazy about the end result. Pac and Penta team up to face Brody King and Malakai Black, and the crowd is freaking going bananas, all right? And they're super hot for Pac and Penta. They're really into this match. Really good energy, good vibe throughout. We see Pac kick things off. Like, he comes into the ring and he's wearing his blindfold, and I thought he was gonna wrestle the match that way. I legitimately thought, like, for a hot second, he was going to wrestle the match this way, but he didn't. He took it off. Cool, whatever. We got a bunch of Bird Box jokes on Twitter. Love it. But the action here, guys, it was fast paced. We got a lot of really good stuff. One of my favorite portions of this match was Malakai Black hitting all his strikes on Pac, sweeping him off his feet. Really good stuff there. High flying action from Penta. And towards the end, for like nearing up to the finish, we see Malakai Black miss Penta, so he hits him with the miss, but the referee misses this, so he does not see this. Afterwards, we end up basically seeing them get the win. Malakai Black and Brody King, they get the win here. And for me, I didn't think, and I know this story is going to continue, so I know why they essentially gave them the win here. I know this story is going to continue, but damn, I think because the crowd was so interested in Pac and Penta here, that I really did think that they should have had them win here. Like, I think it would have been like a feel-good, exciting win for this team. And like right now, like, I know that Brody King and Malakai Black, they're the cool kids on the block, right? Like, they're the cool guys, but they haven't won me over. Like, legitimately, like, they're cool to look at and they do cool things and they're edgy and, oh, I want to be friends with them, but they haven't necessarily won me over just yet. And based on like the reaction from the crowd was just kind of like based on what I saw, they were sort of mellowed out when they saw Brody King and Malakai win. Like, it was like, oh yeah, nice, all right. But that was it. There wasn't anything more to that. So I do think that, yeah, I wasn't crazy about the end result. But as we know, this is going to continue. This was not the end. So it kind of defeats my whole argument here, but whatever. Alrighty, let's go ahead and continue on, everybody. Let's see what people, let's get some comments in here. This one is from Duke's Catastrophe, who says, Death Triangle has never really gotten their chance to do their stuff in the ring. Obviously we saw all of those awesome matches with Pac and Andrade. Really loved that triple threat match that we saw at Double or Nothing. That was great. Penta and Phoenix, they get little moments here and there. Unfortunately, Phoenix is out for a bit. Their title reign ended, a lot quickly, a lot faster than we hoped for, but, stuff happens. Can't really blame that one too much, but yeah, I mean, I know, because here's the thing, here's my, this, I think because I know that the guys that at the end, the ones that they're pushing is Brody King and Malakai Black. I think that kind of takes me out of it because I'm not that crazy about them. I like both of them, but I'm just not crazy about it. That's what I'm getting at. That's it. That's all I got, guys. Let's see what let's get some more comments in here and see what people are saying in this chat here. If not, I'm going to go ahead and move on. This is a comment from Sean who says, love all those 4 guys, wanted them to fight forever. Justin Martin says, no way the Kings of Black Throne could lose yet. It was a pretty good match. The story will continue. And yeah, that is definitely true. And let's see what else we got. Let's go through a couple more comments. And yeah, I know, guys. I know they're the heels and they're supposed to win. This ain't my first rodeo, but damn, I still was not I was still sucked out of it. At the end of the day, I'm excited for it. I want to see it. Labor Day says that makes no sense for the Kings to lose. That's dumb. Alrighty, let's go ahead and continue on, everybody. All right, let's go ahead and move on. Let's see. After this, we got Nyla Rose versus Ruby Soho. And let's see. This was a pretty decent match. Pretty lengthy. Good. I like that. We see Nyla bite the fingers off of Ruby. Not off of her, but she's literally biting her fingers through this match. Really painful to see. I hate seeing that. We see Nyla hit her leg drop. We see Ruby Soho. She's finally going in. She's about to get the win here, but Vicky Guerrero gets involved by helping out Nyla Rose. So Ruby goes after her. Nyla then ends up hitting a cool senton and hits a power bomb and defeats Ruby Soho. So that was that. Like both of these girls, but that was about it. There's not really much I want to add to that, to be honest. Nothing much I want to add there. And this is a comment from the Santrovert who says, not sure where Ruby goes from this after losing. I'm pretty sure I don't know. I don't know where we're going anymore, guys. Send in some good opinions. Predict this for me. I'm out on this one. All right, let's go ahead and see. This is a comment from a Jingu Rio who says Nyla needs to be murdering opponents. She doesn't need to necessarily be murdering opponents. I think that she's having this was a pretty decent match. Nyla Rose and Ruby Soho is pretty decent, but it's just I don't think I'm necessarily I'm not hot for it though. It's just there. I'm just not hot for it. All right, let's go ahead and continue on, everybody. Killer Mike says Denise just said fuck it. All right, let's continue on. This is something that I did like backstage. We got the Gun Club. They come in and they're making fun of Jungle Boy and they're like, what are you reading? The Jungle Book? That popped me. That legitimately popped me. They end up, beating him up and then go outside of the arena and they throw him onto the snow. And I'm like, that is so mean. It is cold outside. How could you do that? I like this. This is fun. And I like stuff like this. If you're, I like stuff like this. I want more of this. Go keep throwing people out in the snow, man. I'm here for this. Hashtag the ass boys. All right. Let's continue on. Before we move on, we got 2 more things to talk about. Before we get to that, just a friendly reminder, everybody, if you like the show and you're entertained, even if you're like, damn it, Denise, I don't agree with everything you say, but if you are entertained, please know that I do go live 3 times a week here on F4W Online. I come on here on Tuesdays. We talk about NXT 2.0. On Wednesdays, I am here, like right now, talking about AEW Dynamite. It's a good time. We have a good time, I think. And then Fridays, I'm on here to talk about SmackDown and Rampage. And it's so weird because SmackDown and Rampage are like those shows that are like really like a hit or miss. And legitimately, I didn't know like how many people were like interested in that post show. And I have found that people are interested in that post show. So it makes me very happy. But you guys can come in and check out that show on Friday nights. For all of us who have absolutely no life and we're at home watching wrestling on a Friday night, you can come join me because that's my life. All right, let's see where we go from this. Let's get into this Hangman Adam Page stuff. All right, let's get into this. Pommy Wrestler says confirmed Denise prefers the ass boys over the House of Black. Oh my God, guys. Oh my God. All right, let's go ahead and oh shit. All right, sorry. Labor Day says there's a pandemic. With or without the pandemic, I would still be here on Friday nights talking about SmackDown and Rampage. And I think a lot of people would be too. No excuses. Do not blame the pandemic for not having a life. Don't blame the pandemic. All right. Let's go ahead and continue on from here. All right. Hangman Adam Page, everybody. He comes out and I'm dying. I'm literally rolling on the floor. They have his title card, and on the title card, it says that Hangman Page doesn't know that his flight is canceled yet. And sue me, I laughed so hard during that. That popped me so much. Kudos to the graphics team. I think that was definitely the best one by far. I was dying, legitimately. That was hilarious. Anyway, so he comes out, he calls out Lance Archer, but instead we get my good friend and your good friend, Dan Lambert. And Tony Khan is watching this show. We need a limit. We need a limit on how many times we see Dan Lambert on AEW. I'm going to say the limit is 1. More than once, I'm like, nah, this is too much. This is too much. I'm sorry, Dan Lambert, but I think there should be a limit of 1 for Dan per show. And that's me being generous. But anyway, so he comes out, he spews a bunch of nonsense where I think I mentally zoned out during this. I reawoke when Lance Archer came out, which was immediately afterwards. He like busts through. He comes in and he ends up going at it with Hangman Page. They fight out on the outside, and we know that the Texas Death Match is taking place next week on Dynamite, which I'm looking forward to because I feel like Hangman Page, like literally, he got burned. He got buried at the top of the show by Brandi and Danielson, basically saying that no millennial cowboy should be AEW World Champion. And then Lance Archer comes out and literally kicks his butt here tonight. He choke slams him on the steel steps. He puts him through the table. I'm just thinking to myself, man, I want to see Adam Page kick some major butt next week during the Texas Death Match. I think that I think he really needs a solid victory over Lance Archer. I want to see Hangman Page come in and like be this dominant, like badass in this match. Like he needs to be fed up. How dare you do what you did to me last week? He needs to be angry. He needs to be mad. He needs to be cutthroat. Okay. That's the champion that I want to see. That is my cowboy. That's the kind of cowboy. That's the cowboy shit right there that I want to see. But either way, I'm looking forward to this. It gives Lance Archer, obviously, since his return, something to do. I like Lance Archer. This is definitely his biggest story, I believe, on AEW. So definitely good stuff for him. Alrighty, guys, let's go ahead and see what we got here. First of all, welcome to Zach Gigari, who just became a new member here on YouTube. I appreciate you, Zach, for coming on here. We also got a super chat from Brandon Rosen. Thank you so much to Brandon, who says, quote, not really feeling Hangman Page as world champion since his win over Kenny Omega. Sometimes the chase is more fun than the prize. See, but in order for it to be fun, they just need to keep putting him in like awesome matches. And he did have 2 very awesome matches with Brandi and Danielson, which kicked ass. Those were great. It's just that I think sometimes because so much stuff happens in between those big matches, I think we tend to forget that we're like, fans of, not like forget, but I think we don't forget that we're fans of his, but you tend to be a little bit, like you said, maybe you zone out because maybe the chase is more interesting. And hell yeah, I've always said this, like everybody knows this, like the money's in the chase. The chase is good. But anyways, I think that the more like good matches that we get, which we've been getting good ones with, like I said, Bryan and Paige. And I do think that this Lance Archer Paige match will be good. I'm looking forward to it. I think the more we get of that, the more you'll be like, cool, this is my champion right here. Thank you so much to Brandon Rosen for sending in that super chat. All right, guys, once again, friendly reminder, if you do want to get your question, comment, or statement read on the stream, you are more than welcome at any point throughout the show to send in a super chat, and I will read your comment on here. And like I say, I sound like a broken record, everybody, but I do get to keep 100% of all proceeds, so push, push, push. All right, let's get to this. Chris Jericho basically announces that there's going to be a team meeting next week on AEW Dynamite with the Inner Circle. This is really, you guys already know my feelings on this. They should have ended this when they were feuding with the Pinnacle. Now this feels like this has been stretched out massively. In fact, it is dragging now. Just break up already. Break up. Break up. I'm not even going to shed a tear. Break up. We got a super chat from Steven Petrovelli. Thank you so much to Steven, who says, AEW seems to be spinning its wheels with the women's division. Hope they can work a deal with Impact again and we can have some knockouts crossover. I did want to see some knockouts crossover when they first started doing that stuff with Impact, but obviously from the looks of it, that was really just a Kenny thing. They have women on the roster. It's just that there's a lot of them that haven't been built up to the point where you can legitimately buy that they could be champion, Like, if you think about who can take the belt off of Britt Baker, the person that you think of is Thunder Rosa, and you try to think of somebody else, okay, well, you have Jade Cargill, who's TBS champion, but I wouldn't necessarily, they've been building her up a whole lot. But she still, to me, is not the person that I can see defeating Britt Baker. I mean, possibly. There's a better option for her. But, like, even when she was feuding with Ty Conti, I love Ty Conti, but nobody was expecting Ty Conti to defeat Britt Baker. Same thing for Chris Statlander. Love Chris Statlander, but nobody was expecting her to beat Britt Baker. So I do think they need to build up more women to, like, make them feel like, you know what? She probably could defeat Britt Baker, and that's definitely what we need. But thank you so much to Steven for going ahead and sending in this super chat. We have another one from Labor Days. Thank you so much to Labor Days, who says, thanks for always being a fun post-show watch, Denise. Well-deserved success. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. Last year, I did over 300 podcasts across the board, and I'm looking to definitely surpass that number. On top of that, I've been putting out so many interviews that you can be checking them out on my YouTube, youtube.com/Denise Salcedo. I literally have interviews going up every single day this week. I put out one yesterday with Tasha Steeles, one today with Giovanna Angle and Kim Orton, who are the wives of Randy Orton and Kurt Angle. And we talk about their podcast. Tomorrow, I'm putting up an interview with Speedball Mike Bailey. You guys know him from Impact Wrestling, and he is basically going to be talking about how he got banned from the country and how he's back now and how he's with Impact Wrestling. A really good conversation there. And then Friday, I will have an interview out with Peter Avalon where he clarifies his status with AEW, wrestling on AEW Dark, and so much more. Pretty much all AEW related on that one. But thank you so much to Labor Days for sending in that super chat. All right, let's go ahead and get into the main event, everybody. CM Punk versus MJF. And throw an egg on my face because I was the dork. Me. I legitimately thought there's going to be a swerve. This match is not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I was set. In my own head, I booked this whole thing in my own head. And I just did not expect to see this match happening. I was expecting it on a pay-per-view. I wasn't expecting it on Dynamite, and I wasn't expecting anything, really, honestly. So I went into this thinking we're not even going to get this match. I legitimately didn't think we were gonna get this match. Like, I know they were promoting it, but I was expecting some swerve. And given MJF's character, like he's a person that could get himself out of the match, I figured, like, I don't know, maybe Wardlow will do something. Maybe they'll fake an attack. I don't know. I was thinking of a million other things than actually having the match. But anyway, so this thing kicks off and I'm thinking, oh man, they're going for it. And I didn't check the exact time of when this match started, but there was at least like 40 minutes, 30 something minutes left on the show. So they gave this match a lot of time, which I personally enjoyed because, again, if you're not doing this match on pay-per-view and it's such a, it's CM Punk and MJF was like a big star on AEW, you want it to feel like a big deal. So how do you have it make it feel like a big deal? You give it more time. So I liked this, that we actually got the match here. The entire time, the audience was engaged, and we see a lot of different stuff essentially occur throughout this. And I'm just going to give a quick run through of what we saw. We kicked off the match with MJF essentially running out into the crowd, CM Punk going right after him, and he's literally beating his ass in the crowd. There's a moment where MJF ends up getting his balls hit on the rails of the freaking arena. That was kind of hilarious. And then CM Punk drags him back, literally just having his head down. I love this. The entire beating that CM Punk did while they were in the crowd. Oh, I was a fan of that. I really, really like that. From here on then, we continue to see CM Punk manhandle MJF from here. And then there's this moment where we see this turning point a little bit, or where we see CM Punk no longer manhandling MJF. And that moment comes when CM Punk is going towards MJF, and MJF moves out of the way, and CM Punk goes right into the ring post and literally just gets hit right in the shoulder. And so that kind of is when we start to see this demise of CM Punk during this match. We see MJF locking a sleeper. We see him locking the body scissors. We see this finish, or false finish rather. We see MJF choke out CM Punk with the help of his wrist tape, but the referee did not see it and essentially has MJF win this match. But once he realizes that MJF was cheating, he essentially restarts the match, reverses his decision, and restarts the match. And for a split second, guys, I was like, holy shit, that's how they're going to do it. Okay, fine, I guess. But then they restarted the match, and I was like, okay, good, because I would not have wanted things to essentially end that way. Anyway, so CM Punk gets super pissed. He literally punches the hell out of MJF. He does a springboard clothesline. Afterwards, we see Punk hit a reverse hurricanrana where he literally lands on his a Canadian destroyer, and he lands on his freaking on his head. He lands on his head there, and that was absolutely brutal, by the way. Then we end up seeing MJF biting CM Punk. CM Punk bites MJF. We see CM Punk go to the top rope. He hits the Pepsi plunge, which was really exciting to see. The crowd completely marked out for that. That was good. We end up seeing CM Punk hit a roundhouse kick. After that, he goes to the top rope. He does his elbow, and you're thinking it's going to be over. It's not. It's a 2 count, so the crowd's even more into it at this point. And at this point, I'm on the edge of my seat during this match. And just when I'm thinking, where the hell are they going to go with this? We have Wardlow coming out, and Wardlow has been this big, giant question mark because, again, they've been teasing this whole, eventual breakup between MJF and Wardlow. So you're wondering, how is Wardlow going to play into this match? Is he going to officially, have it with MJF and turn on him in this match? Or is he just going to come out and do MJF's dirty work? Well, the latter definitely occurred. He goes in, steps right over MJF like he doesn't care about him, stares CM Punk directly in the face, and kind of gives him a little bit of a smirk. So you're kind of thinking for a second, is he siding with CM Punk here? What's happening? But then afterwards, we end up seeing Wardlow essentially after this. Wardlow ends up giving the ring to MJF that MJF uses to hit CM Punk in the face with when the referee is not looking because he's distracted by Wardlow. And so he hits someone in with the ring, and he ends up pinning CM Punk 1, 2, 3, and that is it. CM Punk takes his first loss to MJF, his first loss in AEW. And I gotta tell you, like, I definitely think that it was the right call to have MJF defeat CM Punk here, because it's like, if MJF is going to be the next guy up to face Hangman Page, if he's going to be his next opponent down the line, I think he needs a big win like this, and a big win against CM Punk is obviously a big deal. So I do like I do think that it was the right call to have MJF win here. And the other thing too, it's like, I know people are like, there's no more, like, you don't need to protect CM Punk anymore. Like, this was a great match. Obviously, he was still protected because he used the ring, so it was, kind of a, dirty finish. So he's still protected in that sense, but this was good. I was a fan of all of this, and there was something else I was going to say, now I completely forgot, so hopefully I'll remember in just a hot second. But let's see, what did you guys think of this? How did you feel about the match itself? How did you feel about the outcome? Are you surprised that they went for MJF defeating him in Chicago versus the pay-per-view? And now I just remembered what I was going to say. This reminds me once again, and I wanted to make this point, because when MJF was feuding with Chris Jericho, I really do think that MJF should have defeated Chris Jericho. Now, I know the whole stipulation of like, oh, Jericho's never going to wrestle on AEW again was added on top of that, but I do think that, like, this would have been an even bigger deal for MJF if he had defeated Chris Jericho and then defeat CM Punk, and you're just like, holy shit, this freaking guy's on fire. I do think this would have been an even bigger deal if he had defeated Chris Jericho prior and then CM Punk, and then, moves on to do whatever he does, which is probably go after the title. So anyways, get some thoughts in here, guys. Let's see what people are saying. This is a super chat from Anthony Navarro. Thank you so much to Anthony, who says, fantastic main event. Happy with the finish. Round 2 on the way. This is going to be, I think, given what they did today, I do think that, round 2 or the next match has to be some sort of stipulation. I don't know what, but they need to do something like that, I think. Thank you so much to Anthony for the love and for sending in the super chat. We got another super chat from Shea McDonald. Thank you so much to Shea, who says, do we get Wardlow versus MJF at Revolution, or is that still too soon? It has been building for a long time. You can tell Wardlow did not like this. That's the thing. This has been brewing for a very long time. Okay, this is a kettle that is already ringing. Okay, it's done, it's brewed. We need to eventually get to the point. We need to get to the end result. However, I think that because they have gone so long teasing this, it's going to happen when you least expect it. But I think at this point, I'm kind of expecting it every single week. So maybe that defeats the purpose. So I do not know. I feel like there's a good possibility that it could be MJF Hangman Page at Revolution. I think there's a good possibility that we might be seeing that. I don't completely know, though. That's just kind of my gut feeling right now. He could go next up to Wardlow. But then if he's going to go for he didn't beat CM Punk for no reason, though, is what I'm trying to get at. He did not beat CM Punk for no reason. There needs to be a reward after that. And defeating Wardlow is not the reward. It has to be the championship, Anyways, thank you so much to Shea for sending in this super chat. I really thank you for it. Guys, getting your last thoughts. If you want to send in any last and final super chats, you can, and I will read those. But as of right now, I'm going to go ahead and about to pull up the last one that I see on here. But before I do, please, everybody, if you haven't already and you had a good time, please make sure to follow me on Instagram or on Twitter at _ Denise Salcedo. My goal for the end of this year is to hit 100K on Twitter. And my goal for the end of January was to be at 55K, and I completely failed So now I just feel additional pressure. But anyways, if you enjoyed this post show and you enjoyed the commentary on here and the discussion, please feel free to share this podcast. Let people know that you enjoyed it. It really helps me out, helps the numbers out, etc. Please make sure to follow on Twitter because I do share all of the links for every show that I do. I promote them on there. Every single interview that I do gets promoted on there as well. And then, as always, you can also go to youtube.com/Denise Salcedo. But here we go. I'm going to read the last and final super chat of the day. And this one is from Brandon Rosen, who says, put a belt on MJF right now. Ooh, well, he is definitely hot after that win against CM Punk. Well, everybody, there you go. That was my AEW Dynamite review, February 2nd. I will be back here once again on Friday to talk about the show, Smackdown and Rampage. And really quickly, I forgot to go over the Rampage matches. For Rampage, we will be seeing Ricky Starks versus Jay Lethal for the FTW Championship. That should be a lot of fun. We're going to be seeing Adam Cole versus Evil Uno. We are also going to be seeing Mercedes Martinez versus La Mera Mera Thunder Rosa, my boss. And then we will also be seeing Sammy Guevara, the TNT champion, against Isaiah Cassidy. So we got a stacked and loaded card for AEW Rampage. Alrighty, everybody. That is it. Have a great night, everybody.